I was sent two different compact players. The first one, this one, the Astell and Kern SR35. This one's compact and awesome. The second one is the Activo P1, also compact and awesome. The subject of this review is going to be the first one, the SR35 from Astell and Kern. In my head, I thought this was going to be an active take on the SR35. I thought I was going to take this on my daily walk runs. I thought I was going to be out and about all the time with it. And I was making good headway on actually running this summer. And then I hit a snag. I did a few trial walk runs with this player, and then one day I decided to take my kids out with me and show them how Dad films himself walking and running. Everything was set. Winnie was behind the camera, Milo made sure the coast was clear, and yeah, not awesome. So that shelved me for a few weeks. And then because I'm in Canada and because I was recording in the fall, and fall only really lasts for like 2 weeks, any illusions that I had of continuing my walk runs into the winter were quickly shelved once I actually got outside and got blasted by the cold. And then one day, I threw out my back closing my car door. And that pretty much shelved all of my actual physical activity for weeks on end. I was pretty much just laid out for the next few months. Like, this was bad. I could barely walk. I was just doing yoga for old guys and office workers in my house, trying to rehab my back. And I got my back in better shape, but I didn't end up using any of these players for a few months. And so now this is a stationary review of the SR35 from Astell and Kern. And if you wouldn't mind liking this video, subscribing to the channel, it'll help me out a ton and help me get more products like this in for review. Having reviewed the Ultima, the size difference between this and that is palpable. It is so much smaller. I have small hands, so this form factor fits me perfectly. It fits perfectly into my small little hands. Astell and Kern's players have a slanted screen, which makes for an easier experience when in use and swiping up with my thumb. I can easily rotate the volume dial and access the whole screen with ease. It's a 3.6-inch 720 by 1280 touchscreen. The casing is charcoal gray aluminum. The sharp corners of this device are a non-issue. They don't feel uncomfortable or stab me when I put them into my jeans pocket. Where it normally sits, though, is in the inner pocket of my jacket or tucked into my Air City sling. On top of the player, you get 3 headphone outputs, unbalanced 3.5mm, balanced out 2.5 and 4.4mm. On the side are 4 buttons. From the top, power on off, track skip back, play pause, and track skip forward. On the bottom is a USB-C jack and a micro SD card slot which accepts up to a 1TB size card. The volume knob is nice. It's machined and weighty. It was essentially created so you can enjoy premium Astell and Kern sound, but in a compact package. It uses the CS43198 DAC from Cirrus Logic, and it can be used in a Quad-DAC configuration. It supports native DSD 256 32-bit 384 kHz. It's Roon Ready with MQA support for HIFI fans. It supports a full decoder of MQA8X. It's dual band Wi-Fi, which is great because it's Roon Ready and you can use it as an endpoint for your HiFi system. I really have to jump on this Roon bandwagon. It features replay gain to automatically and uniformly adjust playback volume of your tunes so that they're identical levels. Charging takes 2.5 hours via USB-C, and it uses their proprietary Teraton Alpha technology for better dynamics, a sense of space, resolution, and separation. And the cool thing is you can switch it from Quad-DAC into dual DAC mode if you want to increase your playtime if you're out and about. Getting set up to this device was pretty easy. Got it unboxed, got it connected to my Wi-Fi, got it connected to Bluetooth, and then I took a bunch of music, some drum and bass, and then some of the music that I made personally, put it onto a micro SD card, and put this into the device, and I was off to the races. Now, if you're a PC user, you can use something called AK File Drop and then wirelessly transfer music from your computer to the device via FTP, but I'm a Mac user, and I just could not get this thing to work at all. But I have seen tutorials online of people using PCs that can use this, so bonus for the PC users, I guess. Now you have the option of listening in Quad-DAC or Dual DAC mode. In Dual DAC mode, playback time-wise, you have about 20 hours, and in Quad-DAC, it's about half of that. And I didn't know this prior to venturing out for my run walks, but honestly, I never ran out of juice, but I'm not outside for 10 hours at a time, and I'm not listening to this device for 10-hour stretches. But if I was, say, at an office job listening to this device, or on a train, or taking a flight out where I didn't have access to charge or I wasn't thinking about it, I would flip it into dual DAC mode and just leave it there. But when it comes to the sound differences between dual and quad, I'm not going to say it doesn't make a difference, but I also have to factor in my own personal usage and listening history, I guess. I grew up in Toronto. I grew up in DJ culture. I spent most of my youth and my 20s listening to loud music in clubs, most likely getting some sort of hearing damage. So when it comes to hearing the subtleties in sound, a lot of those escape me. And so for my own personal use case, I couldn't hear a difference between quad and dual DAC. But then also, you need to consider the type of headphones that you're using. Like personally, I don't use IEMs because I just can't get those damn things to fit in my ears. But then when it comes to headphones, I don't have what you would consider to be high-end headphones. I have good ones on hand, and those are the ones that I'm using. Particularly the Sennheiser HD650s. Temporarily, I have the Focal Haddonies and Azuris. I have the Sigma 021 Robins, and then I also have the Cambridge P100s. Of those, my favorites still are the Sennheiser HD650s. They sound the best, they're open back, I love them to death. But I wouldn't take them out and about because they leak so much sound. Out and about, I would usually take the Cambridge P100s because they could be used wired or wirelessly. But then also they're black and they call the least amount of attention to themselves. The Robins work, but they need to be wired. And then the Focals, being blue, looking a bit more ostentatious. I feel a little way about taking those out and about, but they do work, but they're also a wired headphone. But then also, third disclaimer, you need to consider what type of music you're actually listening to. Like personally, I listen to a lot of drum and bass and electronic music, and a lot of times that music is either mixed mono or mixed for the club, maybe doesn't have a lot of variances in sound depending on the subgenre of that music that you're listening to. So something with more variation would be, say, classical or jazz or funk and soul or rock or what have you, if you want to hear those variances. But then what I did is I took the music that I made personally and put that onto the SD card because I know those tunes like the back of my hand. So if there was a shift in sound between the DAC or the Quad-DAC or playing on this device versus my iPhone, that surely I would be able to hear the differences. From my own tune standpoint, the 10-band EQ is a nice touch. It takes some patience, but you can dial it in however you wish. The player does sound great flat, and it does feel like it has a slight rise in the bass. For all the vaunted tech, though, I didn't notice a massive difference in the sound settings between quad and dual. It sounds good, but is it a massive step up in sound? I don't know. With my Cambridge P100s, I don't notice a big difference between going wired and wireless, and so that might speak to the amazing wireless capabilities of this device paired with the capabilities of the P100s, or maybe those headphones aren't the most resolute. With my Sennheiser HD650s, though, I do notice a difference between this player and my iPhone. This player sounds a bit more resolute, there's a bit more depth in the music overall, and I prefer it so much more. From a design standpoint, I like the compact size and the form factor of this device, and I look forward to powering it on when I'm out and about. Once it's on, I'm not a huge fan of the interface. It's noticeably slower than my iPhone. I found this with the higher-end Ultima as well. Yes, it's a music player, and yes, you should be fine with slowing down, but coming from my iPhone, it feels like getting a very old phone. The touchscreen works, it's nice, but again, it's not as snappy as my iPhone, and I've never interacted with an Android phone other than trying to help someone's grandparents navigate their LG phone over the holidays, so maybe I'm not the target demo for this product. All this to say though, when I did venture out, I brought it with me, and it was nice to have a device on hand that I could listen to music on that didn't tempt me to doom scroll Instagram or Twitter. And as much as it works well via Bluetooth, I found myself enjoying this almost exclusively wired because what's the point of having access to the best sound quality if I wasn't taking advantage of it? I like it. It's a compact and full-featured device. It has just about every bell and whistle that you would want on a compact digital audio player. Just keep in mind that depending on the genre of music that you listen to, the type of headphones that you're using, and then ultimately your level of hearing will ultimately dictate how much you get out of this player. Thanks for watching.